Now, tomorrow's rail strike is on. In spite of a threat from British Rail that they may sue for damages caused by loss of business, the rail unions have decided to go ahead with the stoppage over alleged victimisation of railmen who are blacking coal trains in support of the miners. The 24-hour strike by 5,000 Midlands railwomen is due to start at midnight tonight. Intercity and local services in the Midlands and Eastern regions are likely to be disrupted, and tonight there's an added threat of unofficial action by railmen at Waterloo and other London mainline stations. BR made their move as the main rail union, the NUR, and the drivers' union ASLEF were meeting to decide whether to go ahead with the stoppage. After the meeting, leaders of the two unions described the BR threat as provocative.
We've had no communication from the board. There's been not the courtesy of a phone call, and I believe it's the height of folly to make a public announcement like that when we were still in very delicate deliberation about what the outcome was going to be. So we've got no official knowledge of that statement, and I believe that if there are people inconvenienced tomorrow who are not included in our decision, then it must lie foursquare with the board and the statement they've made tonight.
Are you concerned about the financial consequences?
Well, I'll wait until we hear officially about what they intend to do. I think that we can only leave it in that context.
Mr. Buckton, do you think perhaps more action could be provoked by this?
Well, I think what it must do. It must do. As far as we're concerned, it must be concerning our people at King's Cross and other places, by the sound of it from what you're telling us, that other people are now going to take action. But it was wrong, in my opinion, for British Railways Board to make a statement of that kind and didn't have the decency to tell us during the long talks we've had with them yesterday and the day before that the alternative would be to take action of that kind, and then to tell you before they've told us. And when we've been trying to phone them now to give them the decision of the meetings of our executive committees, they're not in, they're not there. We've been told now there's nobody available to talk to us. So they've done this by giving a press statement before they've even told us. So that's obvious to me. I agree with Jimmy Knapp that it's going to provoke a long, wrong, strong feeling and make it worse than the position was.
British Rail say the strike is totally unjustified and that they will consider seeking compensation under the 1984 Trade Union Act on the grounds that the unions have not held a ballot of members over the proposed action. In the case of the National Union of Railwomen, the damages, it could be as high as £250,000. BR would be the first employers to take court action for damages under these new laws. Meanwhile, Mrs Thatcher has defended the government's handling of the miners' strike and the sterling crisis. In an interview on BBC Radio, the Prime Minister stressed that the strike has not affected power supplies, and she said she felt the end of the strike was nearer now than she thought 2 or 3 months ago.
After 10 months, all the power is on. Industry is not suffering from lack of power. More miners are going back to work. If I might say so, I think the result of this strike will be that we shall get leadership amongst people who believe in what I call real, moderate, honest trade unionism.
Mrs Thatcher's confidence about the outcome of the miners' strike could be based on the latest Coal Board figures for NUM members returning to work. The Coal Board say 340 miners went back to work today, bringing the total so far this week to 2,283. The NCB say they expect this week's figures to be higher than last week, when 2,365 miners returned to work. The NUM dispute the Coal Board's figures. Henry Richardson, the General Secretary of the Nottingham Miners, who was suspended from his job over the weekend, has failed in a High Court bid to get his job back. A High Court judge refused to extend an injunction, which was granted yesterday, to reinstate him. But the NUM Area Council gave the court an undertaking that Mr Richardson could continue to use his office, though he'll still be barred from acting as secretary. After the hearing, Mr Richardson said he was disappointed, but that he still regarded himself as secretary and would carry on doing his job from home. The court action led to the postponement of a meeting of the Nottingham Area Executive, which was expected to call off the overtime ban in the Nottingham area. After the break, more news of the day. We have the football match fought out behind closed doors. We have details of a remarkable scheme which could solve a lot of council housing problems. And a report from Cyprus, where after a decade of communal strife, peace really does seem to be breaking out.
Imagine a vehicle that can drive you 5 miles for a penny. A vehicle that needs no petrol, just a battery. And that takes the press of a button to start, the squeeze of a lever to stop. That needs no license, no road tax, and you can drive whether you're 14 or 40. A vehicle that costs just £399. The Sinclair C5. It's a new power in personal transport. The Sinclair C5, £399. Want to buy one? Want to see one? Or simply want to read all about it? Just dial 100 and ask for free phone C5 now.